So although the Vomero 15 won't be releasing in the US, I really wanted to try a pair, so I managed to get my hands on this guy. Even though this specific model won't be coming to the US, the Vomero 16, which is almost identical, just a few slight changes in the upper, that will still be coming out later this year, I believe around the summer. Anyways, after a couple of years of not updating the Vomero 14, it is nice to see that the Vomero line is still continuing on. This year gets a full overhaul, and I've done a few runs in it, so I'm ready to give you my first impressions. First, let's start with the specs. It has 26mm in the heel and 16mm in the forefoot, giving it a 10mm heel-to-toe drop. I believe the weight comes in about 10.2 ounces for a men's size 9, and I put the shoe in the high cushion trainer category. So let's talk about the fit. I got both a 11.5 and a 12. Typically in most shoes, especially Nike, I am a size 12, but I found it to be just a smidge too big with the size 12, and I found that the 11.5 fit a lot better. So you may want to try half size down or try both on your feet and see which one works best for you. Talking about what's new in the shoe overview, we're starting with the upper. Depending when you bought the Vomero 14, it either had a thin short tongue or a thicker padded tongue. The Vomero 15 combines the two. It's a thin tongue that won't cut up your ankle, but it has some extra cushioning on it to protect your feet if you tend to crank down your laces. It uses an engineered mesh and thick fly cables, and it has a plastic external heel counter. And honestly, it kind of reminds me of the Air Zoom Odyssey in terms of looks. So I find the midsole of the Vomero 15 to be very exciting. In the Vomero 14, it was React foam with a full-length Air Zoom unit. The Vomero 15 mixes a few different kinds of cushioning. The outer layer is SR2, which is a soft EVA foam. In the middle you get a bouncy ZoomX core, and in the forefoot you get a large Air Zoom unit for some added responsiveness. Alright, moving on to the outsole. The Vomero 14 had a decent amount of rubber, but it did have that giant flex groove cut out from heel to toe. The Vomero 15 has a more traditional outsole with the rubber waffle in the forefoot and a more durable rubber in the heel. Alright, now let's talk about the ride of the shoe from my first few runs. So far I've been really liking it. Feel like it's a very plush shoe. I noticed the ZoomX in the heel a lot, but didn't really notice it too much in the forefoot. Luckily that airbag adds some nice responsiveness though. One thing I will say is that not only does it look a lot like the older Vomero models or the Air Zoom Odyssey models, but I think it feels a lot like them too. So this could be a pro or a con depending on your preferences, but for me, I really enjoyed those older Vomeros and Odysseys, and I put over 500 miles on a few pairs of them. So for me, I'm really happy that Nike is kind of taking a step back and going to that more kind of plush feeling in the shoe. But if you're somebody that liked the extra responsiveness of the Vomero 14 or something like the Tempo Next Percent, then this may not be what you're looking for. Alright, now let's do a couple of quick comparisons. First one I'm comparing the Vomero 15 to is the Pegasus Turbo. So I'll start out by saying that the Vomero 15 is not a replacement for the Peg Turbo, unfortunately. The Pegasus Turbo is definitely more bouncy feeling with more ZoomX and that firmer React, plus it just feels speedier overall. While the Vomero 15 feels fine while picking up the pace, the just kind of overbuilt upper and that just heavier feel of it is not my first option for tempo run or speed day. I think that the Vomero 14 was a closer feeling to the Peg Turbo than the current Vomero 15. So the next shoe I'll be comparing the Vomero 15 to is the Pegasus 37. So the Pegasus has always been Nike's standard everyday trainer, and the Vomero is the more premium, more cushioned alternative to the Pegasus. I'd say that this is still true with the Vomero 15 and the Pegasus 37. I found that the React midsole of the Pegasus 37 was a bit firm at first, and it took a while to soften up. I also hated the thin tongue and had issues with heel slips, but other than that, it was a solid workhorse everyday trainer. So personally, if I had to choose one of these as an everyday trainer, I would pick the Vomero 15 hands down. I think that's just my preference because it fits my foot a lot better, and I tend to lean towards liking some more plush feeling shoes as opposed to some of those firmer, more responsive shoes just for my normal everyday miles. So I know some people are curious to see how Nike's high cushion trainer, the Vomero 15, compares to their brand new high cushion trainer, the ZoomX Invincible. So I'll be doing a separate shoe showdown video where those two go toe to toe. So the Vomero 15 seems to regress back towards the Vomero 12 and 13 days, where it's a nice plush, comfortable daily trainer. Those who really liked the more responsive, kind of slimmed down Vomero 14 might not be happy with this option. Overall, I'm happy with the changes that they've made with this new version, even if we did have to wait quite a while for it. I'm excited to put more miles on it and give you my full review. Subscribe so you don't miss that, and as always, keep on running.